Ladies and gentlemen, I am currently recording what we are doing. I do put the recordings up on my website so that you can look at it. I know we're just going over the norms right now, but it's a good first recording, so you can see it and see that it's activated and all that. Okay, so what we're going to do is I've got 8 groups, and so each group is going to share out one thing, okay? Even if it's only slightly different than somebody else's, we're going to try to make it different than the other tables have shared out. And we're going to put a list together. Then we're going to try an activity, okay? And then we're going to see with our activity if there's anything we could change or consolidate to make, a shorter list of norms. Okay, so my first table over here, if you are in this seat right here, see where Devin is? So if you're in the same position, you're the person that's going to share. So just know right now that I'm going to ask you to pick one thing to share at. Okay? All right. Can we open the door? Okay, go ahead. Pick one thing.
Just say something.
You just got to read one thing. Communication. Did I tell you guys how I have horrible handwriting and I'm a horrible speller? If I spell something wrong, please let me know. If you can't read what I say, let me know. Okay, Devin's next. Everyone does their part.
Play your role.
Okay. Participate. All right. Back group. One thing. Don't sleep. My middle group.
Discuss all matters and issues.
Discuss all matters. Yep. Respect. The back table. Cooperation. Yes. Like a crazy person? Okay. G-I-S-C. U-S-S. Thank you. 4 or 5-year-old. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay.
Is that a U?
It's a N. I don't know where that line came from. Sometimes it's messed up. Matt. Compromise.
Can I just say that that was like R-E-S-P-E-U-T.
R-E-S-C-E. I don't know. Okay. All right. So, right now, we've got these. Is there anybody can raise their hand now, it's not just one person. Is there anything that you have on your list that isn't up here, or that you really think needs to be here, or something that you think needs to be clarified? Yes?
Everybody has a writing utensil.
Everybody has a writing utensil.
She wasn't even going to spell it.
I don't know how to
She wasn't even going to spell it. I was going to wait to see how
Do you guys know what the word synonym means?
Cinnamon.
Synonym.
Cinema.
Okay, it's a big English term. Excuse me. Synonym. It means finding a word that means the same thing but is a different word. Okay, when you can't spell, you do that a lot. Because really, synonym to me means a word I can spell because I couldn't spell that one. All right, Kaylee. Help one another focus. We need to work on that one, I think, as a class. Yes. Listen. Anybody else? Yes.
Respect the speakers.
Respect the speaker. So this is one that I was waiting for because we're not doing it right now. Respect the speaker.
I thought you respected it already.
Okay, so that's not what we're doing right now. We're having private conversations and we're not respecting the speaker. Please make sure you do not talk over each other. Is there anything else before we start a new thing? Yes.
No side conversation.
No side conversations. Okay. Keisha, I'm going to pick on you for this one. Okay? So, when you say no side conversation, so you're working in a group and you're working on a task. Are you saying during the entire time you're working on this task, you're never going to talk about what happened last weekend? Or what television show you watched last night? You know, like, maybe instead of no side conversations, we should say limit. Because, okay, when we have a staff meeting, so all of your teachers are in a staff meeting, sometimes we have to do things in a group. And there's never a time that every one of your teachers stays on task the entire time. Like, and we've been doing this for a while, okay? So limit, like, you got to get the task done. But I think talking about other things while you're doing it, yes.
Isn't that the same as respect the speaker?
No side conversations?
Yeah.
I think it is. But that's kind of what we're going to do next, is combine some of these and limit them. But we're going to do that within a task. So let me show you what we're going to start with here. Okay. So this is going to be your task for the next while. Let's respect Ms. Murphy as a speaker and not have a side conversation right this second so you understand what's going on. Okay. We've got 7 squares that are set each inside each other. The center point of each side of the outer square are joined to make a smaller square. So this is the exact middle between those two. So both of these sides have to be the same, okay? Same length. And so on. So each one. The center square has the area of 1 square unit. So that's 1 square unit right there. What is the total area of the 4 outside triangles? And we don't have a color copy machine, so they're not in red. So the 4 outside triangles, we want to find the total area of those. Okay? So I am going to give you the next 25 minutes, I think. Yeah, 25 minutes to work on just the front. Don't turn it over and work on the back. You can read it if you want, but don't write anything yet because that would defeat the purpose of this. Okay? So you're going to work on the front of this for the next 25 minutes, and then we are going to come back and talk about it. Okay? So I'm going to pass this out.
You know I'm here, right?
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to share out our answers, okay? So we can do this one of 2 ways, and you can decide when it's you. Everybody can do it differently, I don't care. Either I am going to take the person, in this position's paper, okay? That person can either talk from their spot, or you can come up together. I strongly suggest you coming up as a group. And if you have a different answer than the person sitting in this spot, please have your paper ready in your group because I want you to share it. Okay? So, this spot. You. Okay. So, I am going to start with the back tables first because they always have to go last. So, I'm going to go over here.
You can hear it myself out.
That's okay. You can explain it. All right.
No, it's
Say your name for me then. Okay. So, we've got Kyle's papers. We've got Kyle's paper right here. And he's got a 1 in the middle. Okay? And then he's got a 2. And then he's got a 4. And then he's got a 16. So Kyle, what were you thinking with those numbers? Length times width. So this is 1 by 1, so each length has to be 1. How did you go from 1 and you skipped this one and you did 2? Okay. Anybody have ideas for why that is?
I don't.
Okay.
I have no idea.
All right. We'll keep thinking about it.
He does. I didn't do it.
I just want you guys to remember that everything you say in this classroom is recorded right now. So the recording is on, so just be aware of that.
What's her website?
Okay. All right, so we've got Cassidy's paper up here. I'm going to try this again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I've got Cassidy's paper up here. She started with 1. It looks like she went to 2, 4, 8, 16, 52, and 62. 32. Thank you. And 64. So Cassidy, what were you thinking? Where did those numbers come from?
Well, we weren't sure if we were supposed to like do this. We were doing like the squares, or if we were doing the line.
Okay.
So we kind of did both.
Okay.
We got 16 for the line one.
Yeah.
And then we got 64 for the inside.
Okay. And how did you get those numbers? How did you get 64?
Multiplying by like, so if you put the boxes together
Mm-hmm.
and then you go up, it goes 2 and then 4. So
Okay.
basically we were just like more like adding.
So like the
1,
first
2,
box is
3,
1,
4.
you think the next box is double that,
Yeah.
and then it doubles each
Doubles,
time?
yeah.
So you're thinking doubling. Okay. Good. That wasn't so far, right? We did want to talk about it. You did a good job. Well, I can see it. Okay. So we're looking at Alexis, and it's super light. Let's see. All right. So she erased a lot of it, but we can sort of see it. So it looks like she's got 1 here, and then she's saying this is 0.25.
No, I'm saying it's 0.5.
This part right here is 0.5. Or this part is 0.5.
So I got the same thing.
Shh. So the rest of your group needs to help you out then, because you've had this discussion, right? Who's got their paper in front of them? Okay, so we've got that this was 1. And then we're saying each, since 4 of these triangles fit in here, they're 0.25. 2 of those triangles fit in there, it's 0.5. Okay, 2 of these triangles fit in here, so it's 1. That's what I thought you were going for there. So she's figuring how many triangles can fit inside the previous square and then fit inside the previous triangle. That's what I thought was going on there. Okay? All right. Jamie's group. All right, I'm going to take Kaylee's because Jamie doesn't have anything written down, but Jamie's got to talk.
Ooh.
So, shh. All right. So, Jamie, what do you think's going on here? We have 1, and then why would there be a 4 for this one? So, are we thinking that that triangle has an area of 4? Or that square that triangle's included? The square is 4, and then that next square is 9, and then the next one would be 16. Okay? And the square is 1 unit. It keeps going up another 1, and it's just multiplying by length and width. Okay. All right. My next group. All right. Okay. We've got, because 2 triangles make a square, so the triangles, so I concluded, is that what that said? I counted, thank you. I shouldn't make fun of anybody's handwriting ever. I counted the triangles and divided by 2. Okay, so we counted each triangle, dividing by 2 to come up with that answer. Okay. Double the lines. Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So you think
Yeah.
the answer is 64, but don't feel like, since you see other people's answers, that your answer is wrong, okay? We can come to that conclusion, but it doesn't mean that what you came up with is incorrect. So we went 1, 2, 4, 16, 32, and 64. So you kind of like doubled the area as you go up.
Each one of the bigger squares, not diamonds, were 4 times the first square. Which is
Okay, so
4
you
times 4.
skipped each of the diamond parts
Yes.
and went just to the squares. Interesting. Cool.
If you folded along the diamond part, it would turn into a smaller square.
It would turn into the smaller square. Did you guys get that? If you folded the triangles in where it's shaped kind of like a diamond, you would get the previous square. All right, Kendall. Excuse me. Thank you. All right. So Kendall says, split the square number in half and add it because the squares are inside each other to the halfway mark. You got 64 too. So very similar to the way they did it. Okay. Life will be okay. Nobody cares if you're around, except you. It's okay. All right. So Tasia did, her first one was 1 by 1. Second one she thinks was double that, 2 by 2. Next one was double that, was 1 up from that, 3 by 3, 4 by 4, 5 by 5, because all of the squares are up by 1 from itself. Okay. All right. So, do we want to know what I got? Yeah. So I like all of these answers, especially because I feel like this problem is left super open-ended. Like, you're not positive, like, you have to assume the triangles will fit into the square evenly. You have to assume certain parts of it. So I've got a couple of different ways to do it. Let's go with the simplest way. All right. I said when I first saw it, I was like, okay, this first one is 1 unit. Each of these is 1/4 that. This is 1/2. This is 1. This is 2. This is 4. This is 8. And I got a total of 32. Okay?
That's exactly how I did it too.
Okay?
I told y'all.
There's a whole other way where you can use the Pythagorean theorem because they're all right triangles. Okay, do you guys remember that?
Yep. A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
A squared plus D squared equals C squared. Okay? I get that my first length here, x is 2, and then I go up, and I end up with about 32 square units again, but doing it that way. Yeah, I ended up the same way. This was a, it's called a 45, 45, 90 triangle, which we'll learn real soon, which is just a quicker way of doing it. I still got 32. And this was, I like this way a lot. This is a grid way. I didn't do this. One of my former students did this. Where you create a grid with your paper and then figure out the length of 1 unit in the grid and then figure out how many units are inside each square using the grid. It's complicated and you have to have way neater handwriting than I do to fix it. But it's cool. Okay, so the point, though, was not coming up. The right answer is 32. I did look it up online. Okay? Some of you that got 64, I think the problem was, with this being 1 unit, this is 1/4. These are each 1/2 of the square. 1 square, 2 squares, 2 square units, and so on. I think you guys didn't quite follow the pattern all the way, is the reason. Okay, yes, they fold in. This, I want to explain real quick because we only have a few more minutes, your homework. Your for homework is just to answer these questions. The second easiest homework assignment you'll ever get besides your parents signing your phone. Okay? You're going to write about 3 things that group members did to help you learn. What is one thing your group could do better to support you? And what could you do differently to help support your group? We are going to, excuse me, I am randomly going to choose a person in your table tomorrow to share out. It might be you, so get this done tomorrow so we are ready to share out. Any questions?
You got see one?
What's up, Marsh? Wow. Nothing on the paper? Wow.